Okay.
Wait. Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, March 10th. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go into the acceptance of the minutes for the meeting of February 24th.
Motion to approve the minutes for our meeting on February 24th.
Second.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Now we'll go into our public hearing. I'll have a vote to open the public hearing at 6:33 p.m. on March 10th. Hearing was posted as advertised, as required, at the Town Hall and the Patriot Ledger. Motion to open.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll get started. So I'm just going to give a little context to the budget presentation that I hope is helpful. I think if anyone who keeps up with the news knows that it's been a very challenging budget season for not just public municipalities, but in general. But on the South Shore, increases to health insurance and retirement costs, inflation, limited new revenue, and an increasing percentage of high-need students are limiting school districts' ability to grow or even maintain level services. And Rockland is not alone. It is affecting us as well. Many area towns are making substantial cuts to offerings or town services, and many have turned to Proposition 2.5 overrides. Some override attempts have succeeded, while some have failed, and many are pending. I am not recommending an override at this time in Rockland. Tonight's proposed budget requests a 3.9% overall budget increase from FY25 to FY26. This increase reduces but does not eliminate our need to realign and reduce existing positions to meet available funding. Realignment reductions are substantially fewer than we experienced last year in FY25. And a final note for context, we are seeing a decrease in the year-to-year percentage increase for out-of-district foster and homeless transportation. Currently, the Rockland Public Schools out-of-district is projected to increase by 13% versus the 28% experienced last year. Final comment here, when I say a 13% increase or a 28% increase, I would like everyone to remember that taxes can only increase by 2.5%. So whenever an increase that we're experiencing exceeds 2.5%, we have a challenge. Okay. I want to remind everyone of the staff reductions that we experienced last year. This is a list of the positions that have been removed from the Rockland Public School for over the last 2 years. We no longer have an assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. We are down one elementary principal, and that has to do with the reorganization and the move into Phelps. We have one fewer kindergarten teacher, one fewer grade 3 teacher. We have cut one SPED teacher at Eston, one SPED teacher at Phelps. We have cut our instructional coaches at Phelps. We have cut 2 reading specialists at Phelps. We have cut back by 4 full-time special education paraprofessionals at Phelps, 5 part-time special educational paras at Phelps. A librarian at the middle school and high school we continue to be without. I think we're in our 3rd year of not having a librarian at the middle school, high school. We have cut one SPED teacher at Rogers Middle School. We cut a grade 8 Spanish teacher at the middle school. We cut our building substitute at the middle school. We are without a shop teacher at the high school. We cut our MCAS remediation teacher at the high school. We are down one EL tutor at the high school. We have cut back by 4 secretaries district-wide, 2 custodians at the middle school, high school, and 1 maintenance worker who retired who has not been replaced. Now, that very long list looks very scary, but I will tell you that over the last 2 years, these reductions have been absorbed quite surgically. When I say that word, what I mean is people have retired and we've not replaced them. Class sizes were right on the verge. We may have expanded our class sizes a little bit here and there. We're living with a fewer para. We're living with 1 fewer EL tutor. The coaches that we replaced, they went back into the classroom. So they didn't lose their job, but we are no longer have people who are working with teachers to help support them with the students who are struggling. So it's one less, what I like to call safety net, that it's in place. So all of these cuts, though it's a very long list, we are feeling them, but it was done very carefully, and it was done along with retirements, merging of certain things. This also reflects a certain amount of contraction post-COVID. So that list is very long and scary, and we are feeling it without a doubt, but it's not quite as scary as the list actually looks like up there, and I just want to be honest about that. During 2023 to 25, there have been additions and realignments. Now, folks need to remember that we have nearly 500 employees in the Rockland Public Schools, well over 100 paraprofessionals. So if someone says to me, please give me a list of all of your paraprofessionals, I would have to say, on which day? Because they're moving. They're changing. Sometimes they move over here, or they become a driver, or so things are constantly in flux with this size organization, and I just want to point that out. The additions, we added a part-time special education coordinator at Phelps. We did this so that we would have a special education coordinator in each of our buildings. A coordinator essentially helps the school decide and define what is and what is not an IEP. When a student gets on an IEP, that means there are services to be delivered. That means additional staffing many times. If a student needs an IEP, they should be on it, but it is not a situation where more is always better. Sometimes students who are on IEPs are now missing out on other opportunities. So the term that we use in special education is least restrictive environment. So you always want to do exactly what you need, but never more. So if you think about it like going to the doctor, you don't want every medication under the sun if you don't need it. You want the medication you need. So special education services are very expensive, so we are watching them and trying to really control where we have IEPs and when we don't. We're also trying to control and reinforce this idea of there is an on-ramp to special education, but there should also be an off-ramp. So take speech, for example. Speech services delivered in very early childhood situation can make dramatic long-term gains and strengths for a student. So we may have five speech pathologists covering grades K to 2, whereas at the high school we have 1. And that means that we're doing our job, and those students have gained the skills that they needed, and then it helps them learn. So the SPED coordinators in each building are meant to really coordinate what is and what isn't an IEP. So very important. We also added a part-time English language coordinator, and that helped us really deal with many of the compliance issues that we have to face with regard to the Department of Ed, and to make sure that our more than 300 English language learners are being properly served. We added 1 preschool teacher. The preschool teacher addition, if we had the space, we could add 5 preschool teachers and fill those classrooms, but we don't have that space. But by adding a teacher, we also add to enrollment, which adds to our Chapter 70 numbers. So it is a win-win, and again, it's providing the town of Rockland with no-cost preschool. I'll say it again, no-cost preschool. So any parent out there who isn't enrolled in preschool is probably saying, did he say no cost? Because it's very expensive. But it is a service that we provide, and again, with support from the town. Free kindergarten is also not a given in throughout Massachusetts. We have free full-day kindergarten in Rockland. So I say it all the time because I want the town to be proud of it, because they should be. And it makes a difference. And the more preschool students we can have in front of our incredible preschool staff means, a well-educated Rockland community, which is, I think, a goal. We added 4 paraprofessionals, but those were one-to-ones, meaning a student needed a one-to-one paraprofessional. There's no way around it. You have to do it. And so we hired them. And we hired 1 van driver. Along with that, we purchased a van and hired the driver and saved money. So the hiring of this 1 van driver was actually a cost savings. And again, kudos to Ms. Novio, who's sitting over there, we did the math on it the other day, and I don't want to embarrass her or anything, but I will. Why not? We're a small town, and there are 10 people watching, so why not? Ms. Novio has saved this district approximately $455,000 this year by putting routes out to bid and making people bid on routes and dropping prices and creative things that we have come across. So these are the kinds of things that we are trying to do to maximize our use of Rockland taxpayer money and to keep from ever having to have a cut list like I just read to you. Okay, on to the current budget. The current budget, as presented, shows a $503,000 shortfall with a proposed plan to close that gap, which I will get to on the next page. The plan includes an increased use of circuit breaker and revolving utilization by $100,000 each above our originally budgeted number for FY26, and a request to the town for an additional $300,000 of support based as opposed to what was currently asked. The solution continues our progress as a school district toward reducing our use of one-time revenues and providing stability for the 26 and FY27 budget season. We are budgeting not just for this year, for next year, but we're looking ahead, trying to stay in track with the town, who's also looking at healthcare costs and what things are going to look like, and town needs. We need things in this town. We need a fire station. We all agree. So we're trying to be a part of that solution, and we do that by being fiscally responsible. Okay. The plan, the solution, if we do not implement this plan, unfortunately, we face the possibility of eliminating as many as 8 more existing positions beyond what is in the current realignment plan. And that would significantly increase our unemployment costs, which would be a shame. So on to the hard numbers. First of all, I'm focusing on the lower half of this graph, of this slide, which is our costs. Okay. We will discuss the specific plans to address our deficit on the next slide, but what you see at the bottom is that we are left with approximately a $500,000 deficit in the budget that we are proposing today. We have a plan to close it. It's a total increase of 3.9%. The salary number includes reductions, lane changes, breakage, and retirement payouts. Our out-of-district costs are up 13%. We currently have 27 students out of district. This is down from FY25, where we had 28%. We feel it's beginning to stabilize, and I will say we did project that this was a bubble and that we were fairly certain that this number was going to level off, and knock on wood, so far it has. The expenses realize a reduction in our homeless, foster, unemployment, and legal costs, and we have fewer maternities, so our sub-numbers are down. Yes. Next page. The proposed budget. So this is our plan to close the deficit. First of all, we have asked the town to increase their allocation to us by $300,000. Secondly, we are looking at increasing our use of one-time money revolving and circuit breaker by 100,000 each. That gives us the 500 we need to close that gap and be able to live this budget that we are presenting. It continues, most importantly, to decrease our utilization of free cash, circuit breaker, and revolving. Folks who are in the accounting world will tell you it is a big no-no to use one-time money for reoccurring costs. Unfortunately, in the world of public education, every town does it, because I cannot budget for folks who move into Rockland and have students who go to school out of district. We could get a call on Sunday night that a student has moved to Rockland who attends a school in Newton, and the total cost for that school is $250,000. And here's the bill, and we have to pay it. So imagine your own home, and you have a $100,000 income, and someone calls you and says, oh, you owe $20,000. You can't budget for it. It happens in every town. It's a very bad system. The state should have solved it 50 years ago, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole. The state should be paying for out-of-district costs because it's incredibly volatile. And secondly, it punishes lower income towns at a higher rate than it does affluent towns. So it's inequitable, in my opinion, my not so humble opinion. Okay, so this budget does not, our costs are the same as the previous slide, and again, this moves us closer and closer to not relying on free cash, circuit breaker, and revolving. The next slide talks about the 70-30 split, and at the top of the slide, you'll see this is the new revenue. This is the revenue that we share. And you'll see in the red, these are shared expenses. So these are expenses that the school incurs that the town pays, and we share them. And then you get to the net increase, and then the 70-30 split, and then at the bottom, that gives us our increase over last year, $932,000, 387. So that is a 3.18 when all is said and done. It says 3.02, but it's really 3.18. That is our 70-30 split and how it is figured, and the figures in front of you are a breakdown of where they come from. Moving on. The town appropriation detail. So when you look at it's part of our deficit closing plan. Our balance over 800,000. We are at the health insurance we are trying to estimate, and the current 70-30 revenue. And at the bottom, you get our 70-30 request, additional of 300,000, which would bring us finally to a 5.36% increase. And that is again our deficit closing plan. The 3-year overview on the next page, and if you're at home, I'm sure you're seeing the slides, you can screenshot them and analyze them. I will not break down every line, but I think they're very clear. I will say that over the past 7 years since Jane has been here, we have worked very hard at making sure that every expense is in its proper line, and that allows us to truly compare year to year to year to year and to make better decisions moving forward. So when we look at our audited versus actual versus estimated, these are very solid numbers, and there's very, very little movement between lines. I'd really like to point out the top number, which is salary. Over the last 3 years, our salary line has increased by 6%. That means we are paying 2% per year above what we paid the year before. That, in my opinion, is admirable. Again, important that we are transparent, because we need the trust of the town and the trust of the taxpayers so that they understand how we are spending their money. I say this all the time: if there's anyone out there who ever wants to know how we spend their money, call us, come in, we'll sit down and we'll show you exactly how we spend your money. because we take it very seriously, from the paper towels we buy to whether it's 2-ply toilet paper or one. Spend many battles over that, and I will say we use 2-ply. It's very important. So do mean it. It's important to us that the town understand how we spend their money. We are the largest department in the town. We spend the most money of the town's taxpayer dollars, and it's very important to us that they understand that our doors are open and that we are here to answer their questions should they have any. So over 3 years, salary has increased by 6%. We have stabilized. We feel that the out-of-district and out-of-district and transportation costs are beginning to stabilize, and the expenses that are driven by inflation, unemployment, and maintenance and fuel are volatile, but they seem to be holding fairly steady at this point. So the final, the number that I'm asking for the school committee to vote tonight is $37,335,069. That is the budget for FY26. And I would conclude by asking if you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee?
I think we talked about it last meeting about the reduction in all the free cash. So folks see the 800,000 went down to 300,000. So I think just pointing out the ask from free cash is greatly reduced
From year to
in
year.
this budget from year to year. So I just
Yeah,
was
yeah,
pointing that out
for
just as a
actual,
reminder of that.
In 700, there's a maneuver
Right.
with the free cash
Right.
reappropriation for FY25, and then bringing it back down to 300,000
Right.
in FY26, which is a far more sustainable number. And again, as these Fed costs are stabilizing, we're hoping to continue to be able to decrease that utilization and be able to absorb them with recurring revenue.
Right.
Okay.
But we're coming down on we spiked and we're coming down.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to highlight that because I think that's the one-time money that we are trying not to use and trying not to
And we're getting
invest.
closer with the circuit breaker and the revolving at the dollar amounts that we're at. Circuit breaker ideally would be around 1.4, 1.5, and revolving ideally around 1.1. But again, we're decreasing significantly the amount that we're using each of those
Right.
this year by 12 and 9%.
Great. No other questions?
Anything, Michelle?
No, just kudos to Mrs. Novia.
Absolutely.
Little rock star in the back seat there. And then I'll ask if there's any questions from the public. The public? No, they're nodding no. Okay. Hearing none, we will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Now,
All those in favor to close the public hearing? That's a motion. Now, I would like to make a motion to take new business, number 5, FY26 budget, and number 6, FY26 capital, out of order.
great.
Motion to take FY26 budget and FY26 capital out of order.
Second.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Okay.
So part of making ends meet for this coming year's budget was a request to Finance Committee and to the town to reappropriate $500,000 that had been set aside from town meeting Article 36 for the Eston School HVAC project and move it instead to offsetting costs for our FY25 out-of-district tuition. So I would ask for a vote to be able to, for your approval of that move.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to vote to reappropriate $500,000 FY25 town meeting Article 36 from $500,000 for Eston School HVAC and electrical improvements to FY25 out-of-district tuition.
Motion to approve that vote.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Next, I would ask that the school committee vote to reduce our free cash and capital request from $1,950,000 instead to $540,000 to be spent on the following items. First, $50,000 for sidewalk plow and sanding equipment, $100,000 for Chromebooks and IT needs, $90,000 for van leases, and $300,000 for FY26 out-of-district tuition costs.
I'll entertain a motion for what Dr. Cron said.
Motion,
Save time.
motion to reduce free cash and capital request as noted.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.
And then finally, I'd ask for a vote to approve the school department FY26 school budget of $37,335,069.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the school department FY26 budget.
Second.
All those in favor? That's a vote.
Thank you.
Now we'll go back to the next items here. So we'll go into reports. We have monthly reports for the administrators, Ms. Shipper, Mr. McAllister, Ms. Shifley, Ms. Sheehan. We have guidance, Ms. Black, nurse, Ms. Davis, and pupil personnel services with Dr. Manigula.
7, motion to approve the monthly reports.
7 seconds.
All those in favor? That's a vote. We have school newsletters from Eston, Phelps, the middle school, and the high school. Any comments?
I just think they're wonderful.
Aren't they wonderful?
Yes.
It's like, we get
It's a
to
nice
enjoy
one.
seeing all the goings-on.
It's a nice window.
Yes, I agree. So thank you for putting those together each time for us. We'll move on to old business. We have completed fundraisers. So the Phelps Pack had a D'Angelo's Papagino's night, and they raised $385. So congratulations to them for raising that money. Go on to new business again. We have new fundraisers. We have the middle school's SGC 5th and 6th grade social. The proceeds will go to end-of-year supplies for the Rogers Middle School SGC's event and activities. Do you want me to read them all? I'll read them all. Okay. We have the Rockland High School cross-country track, second annual cross-country track 5K race. And then Phelps Pack has a Domino's night. Stop by and mention Domino's. 20% goes back to the school to help fund field trips and enrichments.
All right, 3 motions to approve the stated fundraisers.
3 seconds.
All those in favor? That's a vote.
And it does note here that the 5K race for cross-country will be on 6/7, I believe, so hold the date out there. I know they'll probably do a lot more advertising, but it's always good to plan ahead as we get through the next couple months.
Thank you. Get your sneakers ready.
Right.
Okay, so we've done new fundraisers. We'll go into the 2025 graduation procedures. Dr. Cron, you're not going to change a thing?
I was told many moons ago, do not change a thing. So there are no changes.
There are no changes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2025 graduation procedures with no tears.
Yes.
Ms. Hennessy.
Motion to approve the 2025 graduation procedures.
Second.
It's going to be hung up, so it's going to be coming out, I think, in April to the rest of the high school senior parents, but I got some information if you want to know ahead of time.
So that was a motion and a second. All those in favor? That's a vote. And then we have an important change regarding firearms. Is that to you, Dr. Cron?
Yeah, there's no vote required, but there has been a change in the legislation by the state. It prohibits all individuals except for qualified law enforcement officers during and in connection with their employment from possessing loaded and unloaded firearms while in certain prohibited areas. Prohibited areas include property that is owned, leased, or under the control of county or municipal governments, including municipal buildings, school buildings, parking lots, and vehicles used for transporting students to and from school. So on a practical level, if you have a license to carry and you're coming to pick up your child, please leave your firearm at home. We are asked to disseminate this information to our staff and to visitors. I will be sharing this information with staff. I would assume most people would be doing this already. So if you're upset, I don't know why, but it's okay. It's a change to the law, and it's just designed to keep us safe, and that's it. Just wanted to share that information.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Dr. Cron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
This is a state Massachusetts law. It's not a DESI. It
It's
has
not
nothing
a-
to
No,
do
no,
with
no.
schools
No,
or
state
anything
law.
like that. It is
State law.
purely a
Yep.
state law in
Yep.
terms of prohibiting. I just
Yeah.
wanted to call that out so
Right.
people are,
Yeah.
It's coming
Having
to us
questions.
from the
Good.
town.
We still have,
Right.
the town administrator asked us to
Yep.
forward on to the school
Perfect.
committee and to our staff.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank
all.
you. Now we have a homeschool application.
Yeah, we had one late application. I would recommend approving it.
Was this a student that was at Rockland or from out of town moved in?
You know, I really don't know. I'd have to look.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
Just moved in, that's what I
Thank you.
thought. We don't usually have
Thank you.
sort of latecomers.
Yep.
Okay.
motion to approve the homeschool application.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. And we've done the budget. We're back to you, Dr. Cron, Superintendent's report.
okay, I'll try to be
Spoken
very,
enough?
I'll try to be very brief. First of all, this is the most challenging time of the year for me and for Jane, I think, especially when finances are tight. I say this all the time, that it's very easy to do our jobs when there's plenty of money. It's very easy to say yes. It's very difficult to say no, and it's very difficult to cut away at things that you've put in place to be safeguards for kids or things to grow their learning. So it's been a very challenging time, but I will say that I could not ask for a better school committee. I could not ask for a better assistant superintendent for business, finance, and everything else. I could not ask for a better town manager. I could not ask for a better board of selectmen. I could not ask for a better union, a better staff, a better leadership team. I am the luckiest superintendent on the planet, and I'm incredibly grateful for all of the support as we go through these difficult times. We're gonna get through it, and I'm just really, really proud of everyone and thankful and grateful. And secondly, congratulations to Dan Biggins, Mike Mullen, and Mike O'Laughlin, who are the head of a very large group who put together the Blarney Brunch. But again, it's another great example of how Rockland takes care of one another. And this year's money is going to go to support the Rockland Food Pantry. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our public service announcements. Ms. Hennessy?
I guess March is one of the only months we don't have any holidays, so it's a very long month, but also it is the middle of term 3 for most of our schools, so progress reports went out, and I know there's some parent-teacher conferences happening for the middle school and the elementary schools, so definitely be involved and connect with your teachers as they come. And then just 2 reminders on March fundraisers and different events, or 3. The Rogers Middle School, we've all approved all these fundraisers, but they're just some additional announcements to remind the folks that are watching. The Rogers Middle School Shamrock Classic, I believe is the 19th. That is a great game of 8th graders playing against the staff at the middle school, a really good time. We also have a Rockland High School Athletic Boosters are putting on 2 fundraisers, which are a mattress sale. So if you're in the need of mattresses or pillows or anything, come by on Saturday, March 22nd, and check out what they have for sale. And then another basketball game. This town of ours likes basketball. The Harlem Wizards are coming to Rockland. So on 3/26, our staff and teachers will be playing some Wizards. So that's a great community event, so tickets are on sale now. check it out. That's it. My advertisements. I'll hold up some flyers next time.
The only thing I had is the SpongeBob SquarePants musical is coming up, and it's the 20th and the 21st at 7 o'clock at the high school, and they're usually a really, really good time. Yeah.
So that's worth take two. All right, I don't have anything to add, but I do need to go into our next part here. So we are going to, the next item on the agenda is into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. I declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the school committee. I will now entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation.
And to not go back into open session.
Correct.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? That's right. Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.